Okay, the true myth, the Black Vikings of the Middle Ages. This was written by Nasir al-Amin. It says, 8 years later, he returned to the Caribbean. The priest found that the native inhabitants, Man Island, had suffered horrific slaughter at the hands of the Spaniards. In short accounts of the description of the Indies by De Las Casas records regarding Puerto Rico and Jamaica. During Puerto Rico and Jamaica days, the Spaniards, pretended the same outrageous, deceiving yet very refinements of cruelty, murdering the native people, burning and roasting them alive, throwing in the wild dogs, oppressing, tormenting, and plaguing them with toil down the mines, killing off their poor innocent to such an effect that fewer than 200 survived in the two islands. Bullshit. De La Costa is saying that the total of at least 600,000 more natives on each island by 1509 were returned to them. Only about 200 natives remain on each. He estimated may not have been entirely accurate in Jamaica. For instance, hundreds of Indians surely escaped into the mountains, and Puerto Rico had its share of hilly terrain where hundreds could have taken refuge, but the disappearance of Soul's entire island must have been allowed by De La Casa to put forth such a claim. I will not spend a lot of time here, but would like to read the reader as if he is looking into the Spaniards wrote upon discovering the beautiful lands and get to see that Columbus's discovery endangered in the Tenerife, writing in regard to Hispaniola. Writing in regards to Hispaniola, De La Casa states regarding the behavior of the Spanish. They forced their way into the native settlements, slaughtering everyone they fought there, including small children, old men, pregnant women, and even women who had just given birth, so they could keep alive and simply cut their wrists, leaving their hands dangling. The same sort of atrocities and worse occurred when the Spanish went to the America, and the priests who came along with them continued to preach the importance of accepting Christ, a Savior, to those who remained alive. Soon, however, even those who accepted the new world and alien faith would die tragically at the hands of the barbaric Spaniards, for the Caribbeans in Mexico and Peru, Native Americans were enslaved and forced to do bidding of their oppressors on pain of death or mutilation. In 2 or 3 decades, the Spanish had decimated most of the inhabitants of the island. So I'm going to get into that, but I wanted to really get into the Black Vikings. Here we go. Columbus was born on most accounts in 1451 during the last stage of the Viking crusade of the expulsion of the Moors and the Arab Jews of Spain. That's the converted to Christianity, having it's the edict in the next. Christianity having once been overlords of the entire Iberian Peninsula by the time Columbus birth, the Moors had only sway in the kingdom of Granada in the south of the country. By 1492, the expulsion of the Moors and the Jews, Sephardi Jews, let's be right, was being completed, and only those who had converted to Christian faith, called conversos, remained in Spain. Historian Salvador de Madariga, I hope that's right, who Lost Tribes and Promised Lands by Ronald Sanders, theorized that Columbus' forebears were the family of new Christians, most likely descended from the Catalan Jews converted by the Pogroms of 1391, who had subsequently migrated into Italy. The family could have continued speaking Spanish after moving to Italy, never becoming fluent speakers or writers of the language. We like to call them Latinos, speaking that European pigeon nigga shit. Excuse my language, but Negro shit. You feel me? That mix is what we talking about. You know what I'm saying? They say you can speak Ladino. You can speak any, of those European languages. Anybody can understand you, It's the oldest. It's basically what the basque speaks. It's a, you know what I'm saying? It's a form of Ladino. However, no birth record showing Columbus was born there. Born there, and Margarita's theory, although sounding reasonable, can only be taken as conjecture until the facts along this line are uncovered. It is doubtful that in 1492 most people, even Europeans, believed that the earth was flat. Columbus surely did not believe this, so he must have learned of the existence of a great continent to the west, across the Atlantic from Icelanders, which he visited Iceland in 1477 on a trade ship. He's heard of Greenland, roughly 200 miles west of Iceland, and of the great landmass 500 miles southwest of its southern tip. Most of the exports from Greenland, especially wood for roof beam shipbuilding, came from the forests of Markland. Markland is Iceland. The Icelanders also informed him that the weather had grown colder over the last few generations, and the extremely icy seas prevented Greenlanders from making voyages to Iceland. Columbus also spoke with several Spanish mariners who had been blown off course in storms and had sighted land far off in the west. So he had his 3 ships set off from Spain on August the 3rd, 1492. He took southwesterly course, certain he would reach land. On October 12th, 1492, his ship landed on the island. The name San Salvador claiming it in the reach some outer islands of India or China or Tartary or Cathay. Cathay, as we went over in the last 2 videos. You got your boy Marco Polo, who was working for the great Khan, Genghis Khan, and Kublai Khan. I didn't think this is grandson. And, they had conquered the whole Europe and Asia. And once they got over to Asia, they had nowhere else to go. So in those early 1300s or whatever, you would see the Mongol invasion of the west coast of America. We didn't get into that book too, y'all. Just tap in, hit me in the comments. Let me know if it's easier. If y'all want to do this shit live, we can tap in live and we can start getting into this shit together. You feel me? You start, telling me, we can start seeing where this shit go. Tired of the bullshit. Let's get this shit together, y'all. But San Salvador claiming in New Spain that the island was several hundred in the Bahamas, but Columbus assumed he had reached some other island in India, China, or Tartary, and also called the extremely friendly natives who he greeted him Indians, or gente indios, which would mean people of God. People of God, he figured he was heading to the Holy Land, Jerusalem, set up the New Zion, America. We're going to get into all that. The shallow, clear blue waters must have convinced him that he was somewhere off the great continent of Asia. Exploring further, he passed other islands, varying in size in the Bahama chain, and stumbling upon Cuba. Asking the natives he found there about gold and getting their impression that a Khan ruled the large island, who was Pressure John. Shout out to 432 and the rest of the crew. You feel me? Woo. Let me shout out to Cab too. We can't get in here without shout out to Cab, Doodoo Vision, Gabby, no sellout, TMH the Great. You know what I'm saying? Everybody, Kerry Bay, if I'm missing y'all, you feel me? My man Feather Dragon, Pamela Hall, as KD, Sasha, everybody know what's cracking, man. And all my real Indians out there riding all genealogy. I just wanted to tap in and say hello, Phoenix Moon, Top Cat, all the real ones, you feel me? Y'all know, Medicine Man, everybody, man. Shout out to y'all. Get back in them genealogy, man. One day we gonna get this shit back right. Yeah, so let's see what's up. The natives found. I see the natives that they found about gold. They gave the person that Congo this island. He found no gold, but did find tobacco. Turning about and losing possible chances to sight the southern tip of Florida, Columbus sailed southeast along the coastline of Cuba, found that the islands of modern-day Haiti and Dominican Republic, which was named Hispaniola, meeting more friendly natives and Marveldes, exquisite beauty of the large islands. He returned to Isabella, King Ferdinand, and three subsequent voyages were with larger fleets. Columbus discovered Puerto Rico, Guadalupe, Jamaica, Honduras, Panama, Trinidad, names of course bestowed by Spaniards. The several islands of the Lesser Antilles. By now, Columbus and the Spaniards had serious cases of gold fever, having come across natives wearing gold earrings and nose rings and gold tipped spears. Guanine, the gold makes metal. Same shit you find over there in the Mediterranean whenever they start digging up. The same reason you find tobacco with your mummies over there in Egypt. Same reason he got coke in his belly. You feel me? When they do DNA tests, it show up in their hair. You feel me? Because we was trapping. We've been going over there selling them shit, flexing, doing all this big grandeur, American Negro flexing. You know what I mean? Pull about with the rims and the gold chain and your watch hanging out the window. You niggas know what I'm talking about. You know how you niggas stunt. Make everybody want to do it. Same shit that is back then, it's the same shit today. You feel me? So just know there ain't shit new under the sun. And this shit shaking with the fiends and the leaves. You feel me? So let's get back into this. You say the Indians, in order to stand in line, and the Spanish ripped those adornments right off their bodies. Parts attached to these beautiful native people were unceremoniously put to task and bringing more gold, increasingly aggressive Spaniards, and forced to produce other valuables like silver, tobacco, pearls, and precious glowing pearls escaped with them. All the while, the priests that had been brought along with the voyagers were extorting the virtues of Jesus Christ, the salvation offered by accepting Christianity to the increasingly bruised lives and enslaved people or natives. Those who rebelled against the harsh treatment imposed by the Spanish were killed and tortured. We're talking about the Great Hathaway. Way out the way, man. One of the coldest niggas ever do it. They was sliding up and down. You feel me? Running from them, whooping their ass, drowning conquistadors in puddles of water and leaving them there for 3 days. Make sure these niggas didn't jump back up because they said they was Jesus. So they drowned him for 3 days. And when they found out he wasn't gonna move, they started killing everybody. But then they had to go on around because you know how these Spaniards get down. They sicking pit bulls covered in armor and all kind of extra bullshit. And let's not forget these people of color. You feel me? This is how Esteban and all of them was able to get so close. Because if you looking like an alien, the motherfucker ain't gonna let you get too close. But you know, that's a story for another time. But you know, basically Hathaway and them ran until they got caught. My boy Hathaway, you know what I'm saying? Once they tied him to the stake to burn him and try to get him to basically, you know, come on over to Christianity before they killed him. And he was like, you know, will Spaniards be in heaven? And they like, yeah, yeah, you know, we gonna be there standing tall and proud. You feel me? He's like, I'll send a nigga to hell. You feel me? Because if y'all there, I can't do it. I can't fuck with you. You feel me? Like, man, Jesus cool and all, but if he y'all homeboy, I can't fuck with the whole gang. You feel me? It's just what it is. You feel me? But let's get back into this. You feel me? I'll skip the page, man. Said named Australoids. They leave Africa, check east and south eastward people, Australia, and then in all directions, traveling the Beringia between 25,000 and 15,000 BC. And then they migrated down the western coast of the future United States through Mexico and northern and eastern colonial regions of South and Southern America. Godwin calls the second migration of Asian proto-Negroids who drifted eastward through India to Southeast Asia, then thought Indonesia, Melanesia to Australia, though central Polynesia as far as the Easter Islands. This second major migration of Asia to North America took as far as East Island. The second major migration out of Asia to North America took place, according to Galton, between 15,000 and 25,000 BC, and also confirms that the reader's earlier statements from Godfrey Higgins and others that the Central Asia was a calderon of black-skinned people, some of whom, 20, damn, I got crying. Some of whom, like Australians, had been into Europe, others that have in classification there were probably no significant racial physical differences between the two of the migrations other than height and types originating in Africa. The Proto-Negroid moved into southwestern areas of the United States, running into Australoids who had spread from the west coast of California to the Gulf of Mexico and northern Texas and south and Mexico. The Proto-Negroid became the so-called Folsom man of Mexico and went to occupy the central portions of the U.S. There is evidence of interbreeding between the second wave of Proto-Negroids and the first wave of Australoids, resulting in the people called basket makers, who spread into the Mississippi Valley almost to the east coast of the continent. Moving forward into time, there is also evidence that the Chinese Marines or mariners set out eastward across the Pacific to reach the Americas in 499. A Chinese Buddhist monk returned to China and reports that 42-year sojourn that a Fusang, a land 7,000 miles east of China. This monk Hussein and also Hoisin had taken a northeasterly route sailing past the Aleutian chain of islands to Alaska and eventually southeast along the western North America. Nothing the customs of tribes or inhabitants he encountered. His story was written down, but parts of it, like his description of the kingdom of women who took the serpents as husbands, seemed quite fantastic. So basically what he's saying, he's talking about the great khans or the serpent kings, you know what I mean? He's saying that because of how they dressed and what they wore on their head. And then on top of that, we talking about this proto-Negro migration, you feel me? This is only, the reason that they're going with this fucked up narrative is because they're going with evolution. Any person that's crazy enough to speak or evolution to a motherfucker, like, that makes sense. Like, people would just get up out of one spot and decide to run to a place they have no idea even exists. You get what I'm saying? Like, everybody wants to explore, but nobody's just gonna walk with no end in sight. You know what I mean? No place for civilization. You know what I mean? You will have some idea of it. So, they talk about when we speak about our legends or our creation story, we always speak of being sprang from the soil, being a Tauntanis, being the original people of a land. But, that's trying to be stripped from you for land rights, different reasons, colonization. It is what it is. You from we ain't even gonna act like that ain't what's cracking. But, the kingdom of women is Queen Khalifa and the black women of California, supposedly, is what they're talking about. The kingdom of gold, who else would that be like? Because, I don't watch too much Marvels, but I'm guessing they're going to say it's basically like, what's up, girl, Wonder Woman? Yeah, that Wonder Woman shit. Yeah, they're trying to put it off like that. So he found that. And this is the same thing that your boy, what's boy named Francis Drake. Yeah, he said that he found the island of women. Also, Cortez reported finding the island of black women there, or fighting side by side with men. But we're going to get into that too, because it's all in one spot. I ain't going to have you look too far. You feel me? You got what you need right here. Come holler at OhioPlaya. We do this over here on the daily. You feel me? It's just never nothing. Let's get back to what it was actually to the west coast of North America, but the majority of scholars believe the account to be true, presenting us with the Chinese claiming to discovery of America more than 1,000 years before Columbus. The Phoenicians are believed by some to have reached the Americas at least 2 millennia before Columbus, and they all discovered America by Charles M. Bolin. Informs us that in the 6th century BC, they circumnavigated Africa, thus anticipating Vasco da Gama by a good 2 years. This voyage was 2,000 years, my bad. Put some respect on it. Was led by Hanno and departed for the Phoenician established cities Engades, modern Cadiz, on the south coast of Spain with 65 ore vessels with about 30,000 men and women, necessary foodstuffs and equipment. The Phoenicians established Carthage in 1814 BC, but a number of the scholars believe that Carthage was much older, perhaps being established prior to 1000 BC from the cities in the southern Iberia to the northern coast of Africa. The Phoenicians controlled the Pillars of Hercules and set sail westward, reaching the Azores and the areas of America north and south. And lest we forget, it's very likely that the Phoenician fleets were named by significant numbers of Egyptians and North Africans, or the Egyptians rather than the Phoenicians, or the actual mariners. They call them the sea people. They were the evidence of the Punic or the Phoenician, Carthaginian ships wrecked in New England as long as 2,000 years ago. The Native Americans pictographed on stone in Asomwapape, Massachusetts, depicted a ship particularly hewed out of Doric columns and rock in Guilford, Connecticut, as evidence of a Phoenician colony in northern Salem, Massachusetts. Bowling leaves evidence of that the Carthaginians sought iron in the Susquehanna Valley in Pennsylvania, established a colony there. We're talking about, oh boy, the red, some the red, I can't remember it, but there's some viking motherfucker named the red. He supposedly was over here, and they find a little Welsh speaking tribe that was like tucked all up in the crack of America. Like, they ain't know how they got there. Descriptions of the Phoenicians have been uncovered in Brazil and other areas of the South American. Phoenicians and Carthaginians may have visited Iceland in the 5th century BC. It is unknown who the first Phoenicians and Carthaginians to reach America was, but we have in them yet another contender for the discovery of America. Other contenders are rumored, especially people out of Asia and South Asia. England, Europe in general was never had been exclusive dominion of the white-skinned people. The Western historians have never asserted the continent to suggest now through DNA sequences. Should we discount the assertion of historical like McWright, Higgins, Churchward, B.G. Charles, Sir G. Ronald Dixon, and others who have written of the presence of blacks living in the dominating Scandinavian, British Isles, Germany, and other areas of Europe, where they respected historians and anthropologists line. The Eurocentric elite, for whatever reason, had to or has to keep Europe white, involuntary purely Caucasian, so that all other theories of race, evolution, and superiority could be upheld within the argument. So we have been told that ancient Eurasian Etruscans of Italy were mysterious people, origins unknown, and the language of the Basque in the Pyrenees region is normally in the otherwise Indo-European speaking continent. Herodotus, an historian, has flaws, so perhaps his assertion that the Colchians were black and woolly haired like the Egyptians was Aramis. The Moors who overran Iberia, Spain, and Portugal in the 8th century were Arabs, not Africans. Their lady Topowa, the Black Madonna of Chexochoa, is called black because the soot has darkened her image over the centuries, not because she was originally painted as black. Ancient Egyptians and Ethiopians and Indians and other people of the Near East were and are of the Caucasian branch of races. Nordic, Scandinavian are and always were white skin, blonde hair, and blue eyes. Blacks have never inhabited Europe in case of the latter Scandinavians. We know now that the Nordics were black skinned, that they settled Iceland, established several settlements in Greenland, explored Markland, Labrador, and Newfoundland, North America proper, and ventured into the Gulf of St. Lawrence, probably other areas of what is now United States. Norse artifacts have been found along the Hudson Strait to the north of Markland and Goddard Point in the Bay of the Fundy in the northern Maine. The there are Norse uh, chains or mounds in the southwest Greenland, and long ships rivets were found in Ellesmere Island, northernmost northernmost North America, whose northern half lies with the Arctic Circle north of the Baffin Bay, demonstrating that Norsemen actively explored parts of North America proper, that they also interaction, however, tenuous with the natives of the continent, including skirmishes and Scarling, Spralings, the Native Americans in Newfoundland, Greenland, and elsewhere reportedly significant intermingling between Vikings and Native Americans in Maine. If the Scandinavians were blonde and white skinned, blue eyed Nordics, the creme de la creme of the Caucasian who dominated Europe, terrorizing the British Isles, became Christians by 1000 AD, developed a system of laws governing themselves, which they carried to Iceland. Why are they not given credit for discovering America over Christopher Columbus, who arrived 500 years later? England in general was not so honest. Yeah, let's see. What else we can? Oh, yeah, this helps too. It says evident remainder of the chapter is misplaced and belongs in the earlier period. The defects of the Flan, the Sonora, or by the Danes of the Dublin, at the battle wherein fell a day, son of the, I'm about to go there with that, Chochabar, king of Cognawatt, Lurgus, son of the Pronician bishop of Claver, and Donachad, son of the Muldoon abbot of Degla or Kildake, ignorant, is dated to the fourth master 885 equaling 888, and the other events mentioned are all grouped around that year. They are they are in fact the exploits of the earlier party that claimed Ivar had settled in Dublin and was in alliance with the Sebral, son of Dungal, chieftain of the Ossory and king of Dublin. They make it clear it is well necessary to be called to mind some particulars of history of the Danes of Dublin. The fortress seemed to have been originally founded as a trading and military station by the white Gentiles who had established themselves in Ireland before the coming of the black Gentiles of Danes. The arrival of the latter invaders is dated to 851. The chieftain Olaf the White came, we are told, to Levi rents and tributes by finding opposition from the Scandinavians. However, it does not appear that MSL nor the information it contains to be found in the Irish Annals, but it is remarkable that the Annals of Ulster at the year 1892 or 1893, which is the fourth year of the 888 mentioning the victory by the Saxons over the Black Gentiles, a great slaughter, which was followed by the Great internal decisions among the Forans of Dublin, who divided themselves into fractions, one part siding with the sons of Imhar and the others with the Sixterfrith of Earl. This decision no doubt weakened the Dublin Danes, and the year noted by the Annals of Ulster, although not the exact date for their leaving Ireland, were perhaps being a loss of power. The exact year of their expulsion is given by the fourth master, 897, really 900, and by the Annals of Ulster, 901 to 902. It appears that the year a new attack was organized against the Danes of Dublin, headed by Malafina, king of Bergia, and the Sirbahal, son of the Mercian king of Leinster. And the Confederates succeeded in displacing the foreign garrison, who escaped half dead across the sea, leaving behind them many of their many group many, leave behind a great many of their uh, countrymen at the period of the Rhine in France and Brittany and Italy and other parts of the continent of Europe, as well as Great Britain. The reinforcements which came to the Danes of the Westford are the next mentioned in chapter 28. There are described as innumerable hordes under the commands of Ragnhall, grandson of Ivar, Earl Otera. This latter chieftain is mentioned in the Annals, although the records AD 916, although now Guptadub, the arrival of Ragnhall, son of Ivar, reinforced the foreigners already established at Waterford. In chapter 35 have been mentioned of a earl called Otera the Dove, or the Black. We came with 100 ships to Waterford, but all the Munsters under tribute. We read also the Annals of Ulster, AD 1913, of a bridge son Otera, who was killed in battle at the Isles of Man by Ragnhall on his way to Waterford. Otera Otter was the father of Berib, can scarcely have been the same as Otter the Earl, who accompanied Ragnhall 3 years afterwards as his ally and joint commander in reinforcements to the Danes of Waterford after the exploits of minor importance. And take Dutch Medicis. This one.